your thrifty apprentice. Happy Sunday, guys, and welcome to the beginning of Inktober. So what I want to do with the beginning of this video is go through all of the products that I'm going to be using throughout the next 31 days. You're going to see a lot of different mixtures of alcohol and water-based inks. And they're not all going to be permanent. Of course, water-based inks, of course, they're not permanent. They're water-soluble. But there will also be permanent inks included. So, yeah, let's go ahead and just take a look here. A lot of the products, also let me mention, are going to be new products that I haven't used that I'm going to be using throughout the month of October to test, which means in November I will have a lot of review videos coming out because I'll be reviewing the items that have been in use over the 31 days of Inktober. I wanted to make that side note. So let's get started. Let's get started with pens. So I took a trip to my local Jerry's. Was it yesterday? Maybe day before yesterday, something of that nature. Because I wanted to add to the pens that I was going to get. So let me run through these really quickly now. I've already had in my stash a collection of Sakura, Micron, Creative Mark, Super Black fine liners. So both of those lines of fine liners. Here I have a Mayahimi fine liner, and I also have Artist Loft fine liners, which come in different colors. Primary and secondary, I believe that's what they are. And there are also markers and liners that I've gotten in marker sets. And we're going to also have some there's also a water-soluble marker in there as well, which I think is a generic version of an Elegant Writer, which I happen to have one of those that I just picked up. So I'm going to be trying out this Speedball Elegant Writer, and I'm going to find the other one because I have it somewhere. And it's like a generic one that came in a marker set. And then I'm also going to be trying out some new to me fountain pens. Now, this set here, I don't have the packaging, and it actually came with 2 in. This was a Five Below purchase. And it comes with color inks and a couple of different nibs. So we're going to be trying that out. I had a color in here, and I was like writing with this pen at one point, but the color has drained out. I think maybe it evaporated. I don't know. It don't look like it leaked out, but it's definitely not as much ink in there as I remember seeing the last time I used it. So, but we're going to try those out. And I picked up a Ink Masters calligraphy pen set. It's got 1 pen, 4 nibs, and 1 bottle ink converter, and 20 cartridge refills. So let me see. Let me get this out. So we got 20 refills. It looks like a black and blue ink. This one. I think it's black and blue. Well, here you have black, blue, and what, maybe brown. So maybe that's what's in. Okay, black, blue, and brown. Okay. So we have refills, and then we have 3 nibs. So I'm going to be trying this set out. Now, let me put all of that back. I just want to show you guys that this is a neat looking pen. The girl at the store was telling me, I'm not really into fountain pens. And I understand, because they are a lot of work to use, especially in the midst of like drawing. But I completely understand where she was coming from when she said that. But I wanted to challenge myself. I want to try to use them. I don't really use them. I wanted to use products that I don't really use. So, Elegant Writer. Okay. And I do need to find that generic Elegant Writer. Okay, so let me move on. I'm going to also be using some water-soluble paint products. I'm still testing the Turner Design Gouache. Now this is I just have 3 primaries there. I'm going to be using, for the first time, the collection of Royal Talon's Van Gogh watercolors. This is the granulating colors that I purchased and panned up. They've dried down. I should fill them a little more, but maybe I want to see how they work before I decide to do that. And of course, we're in the testing phase of the Lucas Aquarelle 1862 professional watercolors that we've already unboxed and took a first look at. So all of those water soluble products, or paints should I say, will be used over the next 31 days. I'll be using ink tints, of course. Have to use. I wish we have already unboxed the ink tints blocks. I will be using those, but I didn't want to add something else because I'm already going to be working with a lot. So we're going to get to those after Inktober, I guess. So I've already been using these. I love these pencils. Of course, they are ink, not a watercolor. So I'm going to be using those. Using several different markers, water soluble. Here we're using Jane Davenport Mermaid markers, which of course we know have a dye-based ink in them. I've used them before on the channel several times. Using this set of water-based gray tone grayscale markers. It's got cool grays, blue grays, and green grays. Yes, cool grays, blue grays, and green grays. So it's a cool gray line set of markers that I picked up from Five Below by a company called INC, or Ink. I guess that's what they're supposed to stand for. I picked them up back when I did the review for those illustration markers, but at the time I didn't realize that this was a water soluble marker, so I had to put them to the side, and I'm going to go ahead and pull them out and start using them, which I've already used them in an illustration that went up on Patreon. Going to be using the 2C Art Marker water-based double soft head pen. These are some really cool pens. I've already used these as well. I use these in the same illustration that I use these in that's on Patreon. These are cool. Really like these. Gonna be testing these throughout this Inktober. All of these are inks, right? Yeah, all of these are inks. Let's see. Now for alcohol-based markers, I'm going to be using a new set of alcohol markers that I picked up off Amazon. This is the Darnasius 88-piece alcohol marker set. Now I've already grouped them and swatched out a swatch strip to go across each of the colors. I haven't actually made a swatching chart yet, but I do know how the colors look because I do have the swatch. I can't get that in there right now. Okay, so I do have the swatch that I covered the barrel with. For paper, now this is funny. You guys know I made a journal for Inktober, which was made and bound with the Universal mixed media pad paper by Creative Mark, which I picked up from Jerry. So this paper that's in this book. So we're going to be using this book, or I'm going to be using this book. And I decided that I might not do them all in there. I do want to test and try out this render paper a little more, especially with the inks, because this is supposed to be some no show through paper. And the only thing I've done in it, let's see, did this little kind of play around landscape. And this was some field testing. This is actually on the channel for the Cezanne professional watercolor pencils. This is in one of those videos. So you can go back and check that out if you want to. But that's all that I've done. So I want to use some of this sketchbook up and just see how this no-show paper works with some other different type of inking products. All right. I think that's it. So, Inktober, day one prompt is dream. And after meditating on it for a while, I decided on doing a dream catcher, the ultimate capturer of all dreams. I am really big into mystical, magical, supernatural power things. And this dream catcher was right up my alley and something really fun for me to do. I basically started out by sketching out the dream catcher on a regular piece of paper, and then I transferred it into my sketchbook to be worked on. Now, the outline traceable for this will be available on Patreon for all Patreon users. Next, I decided that I was going to jump in with my fine line pens. These are the super black fine liners that we looked at earlier in the video. And I'm going in and I'm outlining all of the elements of my dream catcher. Now, when I get to the feathers, and there are going to be 3 on the bottom, I actually go ahead and do the feather striation with the pen. That way I can make sure I did not lose any of that definition. And I thought that it would really help with the shadowing of those feathers in order to help bring out more of a 3D shape. So I was using, I want to say that was a number 0.25 nib went on that fine liner to do those little, the feather details. So next I decided it was a little too scarce, too sparse. So I decided I needed to add some more elements. And I thought adding some strings of beads hanging off of it would be really cool. And then I decided that I would wrap the thread that the feathers were tied to around the actual dream catcher even more. And then I put some beads inside the middle of the dream catcher so that as light came through it, it would catch those beads. Well, that's what I was thinking in my head anyway. And Dare to Dream went on the little disc that is in the middle of the dream catcher right beside another feather. At this point, I grabbed my Lucas Aquarelle 1862 professional watercolor paints. And as you know, this is a set that I'm testing throughout Inktober. So there will definitely be a review coming up in November for those, or maybe towards the end of October, something of that nature. And I decided to use, let's see here, I used the ultramarine light, I used the magenta, and I used the magenta mixed with the ultramarine in order to get the purple tone. I went in and did a watery wash on everything, separating those colors by the feather. And then I went in with darker shadow tone in order to add in my shadows for the feather. Now, you want to keep the thickest of the paint towards the what is the thing that runs up through the middle of the feather? I cannot think of what it's called at the moment. But you want to keep the paint there, and then using your brush in really quick motions, and this is like a number 2 round synthetic golden Teflon brush, you're going to pull that paint out towards the end of the feather, and then you'll do the same thing from the end of the feather going towards the center. That's how I was able to create that natural light inside those feathers. I took the same magenta color and went up to do the actual dream catcher itself. And basically I put in a light wash, and then I went back in with a heavier consistency of that color and did the outlines of it. That way it would make it look round and 3D, giving it the light in the middle. The feather inside the little disc was done the same way as the feathers on the bottom. And once I had everything layered with a light wash, and then shadow color as well, I let that dry and I went back in with some color pencils. These are Prismacolors. So they're really soft, and because of this mixed media paper, it has enough tooth to allow me to layer really, really well. And I basically just used a little bit of color pencil here and there with really light pressure in order to kind of punch up, spruce up any of those colors that I felt like needed a little bit more maximum impact. That way, once the highlights went on, it would really stand out and you would really be able to see all of the effects of the dream catcher. Now, I decided I needed to do a little bit more fine lining just to get those black lines a little bit darker. And after that, I jumped in with my white Prismacolor pencil to get all of my highlights right. And right behind that, I'm going to use bleed-proof white in order to put in the major highlights. Once I get all of that done, that is going to pretty much wrap this little first day up. Hopefully you guys saw something that you were able to pick up off of it. This was really, really fun, and I'm really, really looking forward to doing the other prompts of Inktober. I did do a little dotting in the middle, and I also darkened up my wording and splattered some paint in the background. And that's gonna wrap things up. So here we are. We made it through the first day of Inktober. I took the prompt dream and turned it into a Dreamcatcher. This was a lot of fun to do, and I cannot wait to get to the next couple of days of Inktober. Have no idea how I'm gonna pull some of this off, but I wasn't too sure about Dream either. All right, guys, there you have it. Thank you guys so much for joining me here today. Hopefully you are painting. Join us over at Paints, Pencils, Pastels, and Markers, the Facebook group. Let me know what's going on with your Inktober. Post some of your Inktober work there. If you got through the first day of Dream, I would love to see what's going on. Share it with the group if you're in there, and if you're not, join it and share. Guys, if you saw anything in this video, found anything helpful, any information helpful, or just like hanging out for the first day of Inktober, don't forget to give this video a thumbs up. If you're new to the channel, or if you're returning to the channel and you haven't subscribed, go ahead, hit that subscription button, that notification bell, so that you'll know when the new content comes out. Share the video, because sharing is caring, and maybe someone else would love to participate in Inktober and get started. Video description is going to have all of the relevant links. I've already told you about the Facebook group. You can check out the most recommended product list, Etsy, as well as Patreon, if you would like to support the channel. Thank you guys so much. I'll see you back here on Friday. And remember, as I tell you at the end of every video, just keep painting and crafting.